Welcome to the Year 7 Writing Like a Scientist Screencast 4, which is on persuasive techniques. So the purpose of our proposal is to persuade a grant-giving organisation to give us money for our expedition. In other words, in order to do this, we need to make our arguments as strong as possible and try to make sure that our proposal stands out from the others. In order to do that, we need to show the strengths. And we need to use a writing style which will convince them to support our proposal over the other proposals which have been submitted. Now, here's a list of different ways that we can persuade someone. So we can ask nicely, but asking nicely in this case isn't going to be good enough. Please, can I do this? It's not very academic in style, it's not very scientific, and it's unlikely to be successful. Giving them specific reasons why is an excellent way, because we want to say why you're going to give us the money and what we're going to do with that. And this is similar to telling them the benefits of doing it. How will it be beneficial perhaps to the grant-giving organisation themselves, but also to the wider world, to the scientific community? What are the benefits of our particular expedition? Providing evidence to support our point. Well, where at all possible, giving evidence is definitely consolidates our position, and it makes the reader think, you know what, if other people agree or have looked into this or see the benefits of doing this, then surely it's something that's worth investing in. By telling someone how you've helped them in the past, well, I don't know if this would be a good reason in this case, because if you're trying to get your dad to do something, Daddy, I helped you clean the car last week, that might work. But for a grant-giving organisation, every proposal is new, and to be honest, it's probably unlikely that we have worked with them before. By using emotive language, using adjectives which are really, really strong to make people have a feeling, to provoke a feeling from them. This could be okay, but in this case I'm going to say probably don't use that, because in science we want to give evidence, not opinion. And emotive language is often filled with personal emotion, which isn't usually the best thing to do in science, where things need to be tested and proven before any conclusions can be drawn. So in terms of using emotive language, I would advise against that, particularly when you're writing. By using flattery. Well, flattery again may work with people you know well, but you're unlikely to, I think it's unlikely to be successful telling the organisation how great it is or telling someone how good they look. It's not very professional, and in this case isn't going to be appropriate for this task. And then by using guilt, again, this is something that you may do with your family and your friends, but you're unlikely to do this in a professional context. Saying, oh, my brother has one and you don't love me as much if you don't get me one. Well, it might be persuasive in a personal situation, but for the grant-giving organisation, it's unlikely. There's a final technique of using rhetoric and using strong adjectives, which I will say we can use for this particular project, and we'll explain some of these reasons now. So, how could we improve this sentence? One advantage of our investigation is that it could help medical research. Now, this sentence on its own is actually a pretty good sentence. It's saying it's going to have advantages. But by adding just one or two words to this sentence, it's going to make it much stronger and make it much more persuasive to the reader. So, one significant advantage of our groundbreaking investigation is that it could be greatly beneficial to medical research. And this is what we mean by rhetoric. I've added in significant advantage. It just means now our advantage is really important. Groundbreaking. We're making it sound like we are the first people to go there. We are the first people to explore these particular species. Therefore, it could be revolutionary. It could really change something in science. And by using the word groundbreaking, we're really drawing the reader's attention to the new discoveries and our sense of exploration and discovery by using this word. And then greatly beneficial. Again, we're saying, look, this is really something advantageous that we're doing. And these strong adjectives are drawing our reader's attention to the importance of what we're doing. And by adding one or two of these into appropriate parts of your essay, really will strengthen the appeal of your project, make it more likely to stand out in the reader's mind, and they may end up choosing your proposal over another because of this. The second example is by giving specific reasons. So we could say the marigold has medicinal benefits. Well, this is a benefit, but we haven't been specific enough. So by adding just another sentence to that, with the marigold flower has medicinal benefits. For example, the marigold has anti-inflammatory properties, which means it could be used in ointments to treat swelling. Now, this is a much more compelling argument now that we've said something specific about it. We could later then go on to expand this by talking about particular problems with swelling or rashes, which this flower can then treat. We could talk about the number of people who suffer from it. And by doing this, we're giving much more detail, we're showing that we've done our research, and we're also there making the reader think, ooh, I can see the application of this. Just saying medical benefits is very vague and very general, but by making it more specific, we're making the reader fully aware of exactly what our research could achieve, which is more likely then to persuade them. We could have another one now by using evidence to support our point, which is very, very similar. But the marigold flower has medicinal benefits for treating rashes and allergies. By adding simply, according to the NHS or another reputable source. If we know that other sources which are very well respected, so the NHS being the National Health Service of the UK, which is world famous for the quality of service it provides, we could have cancer research, we could have other scientific organizations or bodies which are very well respected, and by saying that they have stated that they have already said that, we're making our argument much stronger. If many people say something, it adds to the weight and it adds to the strength of the argument, particularly if they're reputable sources. So by adding this according to the NHS in here, I really think by using these other sources to support your points really makes your point stronger and more persuasive because of that. So useful phrases that we could use to give the benefits of our products. We can use further research into could help us. It would be beneficial to investigate this because, again, this use of beneficial, really talking about the advantages, saying this would be helpful, I really do think it will make our project and our proposal seem even stronger. Additional research into this would allow, additional funding into this would potentially uncover. So here, potentially saying we're not 100% sure. We're not, because we're going into new territory. We're trying to discover something new. And we're making the reader aware of this. So being honest in this case could be a good thing as well, because it will show the grant-giving organisation that we're realistic in our expectations. We're not sure, but this is what we hope to achieve. So it would be another useful phrase that we could use in this situation. So final thoughts. There are many ways to be persuasive. The main ones we've talked about is giving evidence, using the name of a reputable organisation to support us, using strong adjectives which draw to the significance and the nature of our work. We can have a sentence which just gives us the bare facts, but by using one or two more adjectives, the reader might be more compelled to support what we're saying. We'll use different techniques depending on the situation. So when we talked about you may be using guilt or using flattery, this might work with your parents if you're trying to persuade them to give you something. But in this case, in a professional context, giving facts, giving figures, giving research, giving evidence is really a good way to try to persuade the grant giving organization to support us. They want the facts, and then they're more likely to part with their money. We should use a range of strategies throughout your proposal. We don't want to see proposals with just a lot of strong adjectives in them. That's not going to be good enough. We want to use some strong adjectives sometimes. Specific examples to support our points in others. Using the names of some reputable organizations where you've done research to support your points, that's going to be really good as well in other parts of your essays. So think carefully about which parts would be more appropriate and when. Good luck with your being persuasive, and I hope that your presentation is chosen.